Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. One of my favorite things to watch on YouTube this time of year is the best and worst videos. So everybody's doing them, everyone is watching them. Best makeup of 2018, worst makeup of 2018, best drugstore, worst, all that stuff, which is super fun, super great. Everybody's doing it. What I wanted to talk to you guys about was palettes. So I subscribed, I guess I should say, to Boxycharm, I think in March of this year. So I didn't get every palette that obviously they put out this year because I only joined, it was either March or April. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So I've accumulated a fair amount of palettes over the last year with Boxycharm because there is always a palette. Now, it's not always an eyeshadow palette, sometimes it's a face palette. But there is always a palette, and what I wanted to talk to you guys about was sort of my top 3 and bottom 3 Boxycharm eyeshadow palettes of the year. So I have sort of some hits and misses. I thought I'd go through them with you guys just for fun. I'm looking forward to see what palettes I get this year in Boxycharm. It's very exciting. I think I'm going to start with the worst just because I'd rather end on a high note than on a low note. So all of that to say, just because I didn't like these palettes doesn't mean that you didn't like them if you got them. And there are things I like about these palettes, but there are things that I didn't like about them, and I don't find myself reaching for them that much. So the number one worst, does that make sense? I'm not sure. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The number one worst is the Laura Lee Los Angeles Party Animal palette. So this one looks like this. It was broken immediately. It didn't come broken, but I used it once. What I like to do when I get a new palette is I sort of bring it front and center on my vanity, and I try using that palette for a week. Just that palette. I might add different colors for like transitions, different things like that, but I like to really get a good feel for palettes that way. And I do sometimes rotate my palettes in and out that way to see, do I still like this one? Do I have something I like better now? Anyway, so I had used it the first day, and when I went to use it the second day, this happened. So I'm not sure. It didn't get, it wasn't in my purse. It was literally on my vanity. I'm not sure how that happened, but all that to say, this color is hideous. I didn't care that it broke because I will never use it. I was expecting it to be yellow. It's like the weirdest, like lime green, yellow color. I don't know. I think if you had a deep skin tone, that color would be really pretty, but against my pasty white skin, it's not cute. Otherwise, there are things that I like about this palette, and there are things that I don't like about it. The pink is gorgeous. The orange isn't that pigmented. The blues don't blend very well. It's an okay palette. I will keep it because I don't have anything that will match that pink. Look how pigmented that is. It is really good. I really like this color hung over, but I don't find it blends very well. I'm going to keep it through until the end of summer and see if I reach for it more because it's got some brighter colors in it, but I really could have done without this. I have quite a few friends and clients that also subscribe to Boxycharm, and a lot of people were disappointed to get this palette. The general attitude was, for most people, most consumers, this is not a palette that most people are going to get much use out of. For somebody like me, I will get some use out of it because of the line of work that I'm in and the fact that I do makeup not just on myself but on others for various events. So this was sort of the worst of the worst in regards to it's likely going to sit in everyone's vanity more so than any other palette that we got this year. The second one, so this was the Pure Midnight Masquerade face palette. I was really excited to get this palette. I love the Pure line. It smells like cookies or cupcakes or something. It smells really nice. There's some blushes, some highlights. I'm trying not to like flash you guys with the mirror. There's some blushes and highlights and bronzers and all that good stuff. I actually really enjoy the face products in this palette. The eyeshadows were a letdown. They swatch beautifully. They go on okay. They fade. You really have to use your finger for these metallic colors. They don't work wet. They're very mediocre eyeshadows, unfortunately. I am, like I say, enjoying these face products, so we're kind of not really talking about face palettes. We're talking about the eyeshadow palettes. So we've got 5 metallic shades and 1 matte. So there's no transition color. So, and these have shimmer in them. So there's no flat sort of middle color that you can use to blend out some of these colors. It's just not a super functional palette. When I saw this initially, I was like, oh, this would be great to travel with because you've got, you know, your shadows, your face, throw a foundation and a mascara in your bag and you're good to go. No, because you can't create a full eye look out of this palette, and that is my like #1 pet peeve when it comes to eyeshadow palettes. I have a lot of them, so yes, I don't necessarily need to be able to make a full eyeshadow look out of a palette. I always have something else I could reach for, but from a consumer standpoint, I would like to be able to pick up any palette, create an eye look, and not have to reach for anything else. That to me is a successful palette. That's something that I look for personally in a palette. All that to say, if these blew me out of the water, I couldn't care less if there was a transition shade in there. But the fact that the shadows don't blow me out of the water, there's no transition shade to make them easier to work with, it's just a flop for me. The third one that I want to talk about, now this one sort of landed a little middle of the road for me. I haven't had it that long. This is the Suva Beauty Protege palette. I got this in my December box. So there are things that I love about this palette, and there are things, it's one thing. Again, there's no transition shade. So there are some beautiful colors in this. This warm tone set is fine. I've worn it, it lasted well, it applied well, it blended beautifully, all of those good things. Although this is not something I haven't already seen in probably every palette I have. These colors, on the other hand, are a little bit more unique. A lot of the cranberry tones we're seeing now are becoming more and more cool tone, but for a period of time there, it was all warm. So this is really nice. You've got these sort of lavender shades. This is absolutely gorgeous. This one here is beautiful. Do you see that? Like, it's gorgeous. So again, my pet peeve with this palette is we've got, you know, these pale shades, we've got metallics, we've got dark mattes, we've got 2 highlights, and we've got no transition shades. Why? Why is there no transition colors? So I can't take this on a trip. I can't travel with this. It doesn't have everything I need. The colors, yes, are beautiful. They blend well. They look nice on the skin. These ones don't fade at all. These metallic-y, sort of metallic colors right here. It's just missing a little something. Okay, that is it for the negativity. That is not generally my style to sort of drag anybody on this channel. And like I said, there are things I like about all of these palettes. They're just not the best of the best, in my opinion. Now, these ones, on the other hand, really impressed me. So the first one I'm going to talk about, I think this is this might have been like the second or third palette that I received through Boxycharm. This is the Alamar Cosmetics eyeshadow palette. Looks like this. This palette, I cannot, unless you've used this, I can't even describe, like, the quality of this palette is one of the best in my collection, honestly. The mattes are buttery, blendable, the metallics, like you can see right in the pan how metallic these metallics are. This palette is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Am I using it a lot right now? No. It's, as you can see, a little bit more of a summery kind of palette, but it had those warm tones that we were all craving and wanting. It had the metallics that were really flashy, really beautiful. This palette really was something special. I will definitely keep this in my collection front and center come summertime, even in the spring. I may try and create a little bit of a wintry look out of this just because it is so beautiful and I hate to not use it, but this palette was beautiful. Loved it. Loved everything about it. The second great palette that I wanted to mention was the Pretty Vulgar Nightingale palette. Now, this one here, I still have the plastic on the mirror. Like, Jamie, get it together. So I felt like I had seen a lot of different opinions on this palette. It's a very cool toned neutral palette, and that was very exciting for me because all we've seen for the longest time is warm tone neutrals with a pop of blue, warm tone neutrals with a pop of cranberry, warm tone neutrals with, you know, some shimmers. It was a really nice change to get a cool tone palette, and I feel like we're seeing now more and more cool tone palettes, but this was a really nice addition to my collection. I don't think that these light colors are anything to get too excited about, but the neutrals, the mattes blend really well. The metallics are really nice. They're not crazy metallic, but I don't want a dark color generally to be crazy metallic. I would usually pat something on top to kind of bring that out. This is just a really nice staple palette. I can use this and grab a glitter or grab like my heavy metals palette and do a pop of color with one of those options. This is just a really nice basic neutral cool tone palette, which I enjoy. And the last one that I want to talk about, now I don't know if everyone got this, but this is the Violet Voss Holy Grail eyeshadow palette. So this is not a new palette. I believe it's been around for a little while. The pictures online that you see of it are very deceiving. Online it looks very warm toned. It's actually very like neutral. You've got like a little pop of the cranberries here and some of these sort of warmer toned coppers and that sort of thing here. But this section of the palette really is very neutral. This is a beautiful palette. I'm wearing it on my eyes today. It's just very user-friendly. It's got a ginormous mirror, which I love. So you could travel with this and not take anything else for eyeshadows. It's slim. It's got everything you need. It's got transition colors. It's got some highlight colors. You've got some metallics. You've got some that are a little bit more glittery than others. You've got some darker tones to sort of ground the look. It has everything that you need, and it is very user-friendly. It is pigmented but blendable in the sense that it's not crazy pigmented, which I think is really great, especially for people who struggle to blend their eyeshadows. Something like, oh, don't drop the palettes, Jamie. Something like this, which is very pigmented, might be a little bit harder for people, some people, to work with. So I think this was a really nice thing to include in the December box. Also, it's huge. Look at those. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh my gosh, Jamie, 4 times 5 is 20. There's 20 eyeshadows in here. It's a really great value. I think it retails for like $40 something, which is not that much for that many eyeshadows. I love this. I've hardly put this down since I got it. I've been really loving sort of a deeper berry toned or a red lip with like a more natural eye look. So I've been really enjoying this one, and I know a lot of other people have been as well. So that was it for my best and worst eyeshadow palettes from Boxycharm of 2018. That's it for me today, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, hit the thumbs up button. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.